I'm your host, John Sarianides. And as always, I'm joined by my partners, Kevin Stone and Adam Kirkchin. We were originally scheduled to be joined by Brown head football coach James Perry. Unfortunately, Coach Perry was not able to make it. If that changes, we will certainly pivot and put Coach Perry on. If you're looking at the live title now, it says that Coach Perry is on. But as of now, unfortunately, he hasn't been able to join us. So if he does, we'll pivot and talk some Brown Bears football. If we don't get him tonight, we hope to have him back down the road. All right, gentlemen. So before we jump into it here, and we've got plenty to talk about despite the fact that we were scheduled to have Coach Perry on tonight, I do want to remind you that if you are in the market to purchase your first home or sell your current home and buy your next home, give our good friend Herb Devine a call, 781-254-2846, or you can shoot him an email at herb@mortgageright.com. With over 27 years of experience, Herb Devine is your guy when it comes to managing the purchasing process and having an experienced loan officer that can help you through the lending process. He's been doing it for a long time. He truly is one of the best in the business. One of the best not only here in New England, but nationally as well. He's licensed in multiple states. He and his team are available to help you anytime, including nights and weekends. Again, Herb's number is 781-254-2846. You can also shoot him an email at herb@mortgageright.com. Do it today. All right, gentlemen, as always, we're going to start with the Patriots. Some controversy this weekend. Matthew Judon, Greg Bedard from Boston Sports Journal tweets out that Judon's camp is saying he would not be willing to report to camp and play under his current contract. Judon responds by saying, "Don't paint me as the villain." Basically, I didn't say that. What are your thoughts on this? Do you buy Judon's side? We did talk about Judon last week and whether or not we think he should be paid. Stone, you had mentioned that you felt that they should trade him, that whatever issues exist in regards to his contract probably can't be fixed and it wouldn't be good for the locker room. But your thoughts on Bedard's report and your thoughts on Judon's response. Kirkson, let's start with you.
Well, I don't know. It's hard to say at this point. I mean, I feel like a lot of guys deny the fact when something like that comes out, they'll deny it. So I think I'll trust Greg's reporting on this one, but I'm not sure who to believe. I mean, overall, I think he's an important player to the defense. He's a good pass rusher, and you always want to keep a good pass rusher, but I wonder what that number is that he's hoping for, and I'm curious to see what happens.
Yeah, this is what I was worried about when we talked about it last week. Yes, he's usually a good locker room guy, and obviously we know what he means on the field. But if you're Mayo or you're Wolf heading into camp next week, you can't afford to have any distractions. This needs to be all about football, and that's it with this team right now. So this is what I was worried about with the entire thing. I believe Bedard 100%. Adam's right. Players are always going to, walk it back and try to get the fan base on their side. So I believe Bedard. And look, if it's a fair deal, then I pay him. But if he's asking for absurd money at 32 coming off an injury, and I know it wasn't, career altering, but he's still 32 coming off an injury that required surgery. So I worry that it becomes a distraction. And I still hope, I don't hope, but if it is a problem, I hope he's traded before camp. There's been reports today that they've said that they want to get all contract issues kind of shored up by next week so they're not dealing with it. I think it's smart. You go into this camp with football and football only, being the sort of the main focal point if you want to have any shot at a playoff berth this year.
Yeah, I'm not as concerned about it. I think it will get resolved ultimately. I don't see a scenario where they trade him unless he digs in and refuses to show up. If they can't work out something with him like they did last year during camp, then yeah, I could see a situation where they potentially move him. I think he's too valuable. I think he means too much to this defense. I think too much is going to be made about this stupid bullshit about it being a distraction and all this other crap. Look, he perceives himself to be a specific type of player, and he sees himself having a specific type of value. It's going to come down to whether or not the organization sees it that way. Here's the thing. If I'm the Patriots, I work with him to get this resolved. You need him. He's important in the locker room. He's important on the field. You paid all these other guys this offseason. There's no reason not to pay him, even if it's a short-term deal to bring him back into the fold until he's 34, 35. But this idea that this is going to become some kind of a distraction, if your football team is that mentally weak that they allow this to become a distraction, well, then you're not going to be very good. And they're going to lose a lot of games. And 4-13 is going to look like a pretty good season in comparison. So for me, I'm not going to get into the whole, it could derail their season and all the hyperbole and the high drama. I think it's a load of bullshit. I think at the end of the day, I think that they want him back. I think he wants to be here. I think that they will find some common ground, and I would not be surprised if they got a short-term deal done with him. Look, Bedard's known for this. He's famous for it. He puts these things out. He's been right more often than not. I haven't been keeping score, but knowing him and his reputation and his work, he's been right about a lot of this stuff. So I don't think Greg would put it out there if there wasn't some semblance of truth to it. But if I will say this, if I'm Judon, you've got to be careful here. It's a fine line, and you can't be playing these stupid games with your contract and talking about, wanting to be here, but you need to get paid, and you need to get paid, the requisite amount of money and all this other stuff. You're under contract. You got to come to play. End of story. You signed the contract. Now you're going to abide by it. I do see a scenario where I can see the Patriots meeting him somewhere along the way and working something out, but it'll be interesting to see if he's available next Wednesday when the Patriots open training camp to the media. It'll be next Wednesday, July 24th. That will be the first day that media and fans can be in attendance. It's hard to believe that training camp is here already for the Patriots. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago that we were in that locker room after the Jets loss, and a lot has happened since, though. As much as we like to believe the time flies by, there's been a lot of change this offseason. So probably hasn't gone by as fast as we think it has. One of the things that I'm working on right now for anyfootballjournal.com is a story on Jacoby Brissett. And how can Jacoby Brissett balance trying to compete to be the starter, but also being a mentor to Drake May? And I think it's a delicate act if you're Jacoby Brissett, because the reality. You're on a 1-year, $8 million deal. You're not the long-term answer. You're the short-term guy. How do you balance that? So I'm going to ask you guys, how do you balance that if you're Jacoby Brissett? Competing to be the starter, but also mentoring Drake May and the other young quarterbacks.
Well, I think you have to just be the professional that you've been this whole career, because Jacoby's always been, a good guy. And so just, go about your business, do what you would do, show him. You don't have to tell him, but show him what it means to be a starter in this league. And go about your business. I mean, it's funny, like when Jacoby first came to the Patriots and we first watched him throw, the dude has a howitzer. He has a really strong arm. And he's somebody that's got a lot of experience in this league, and you want him to just show him what it's like to be a professional. And I think, I don't think there's any worries with that with Drake May. But Jacoby, I think he's in a pretty weird spot because you're grooming your replacement, and it's such a weird sort of position to be in. But I think Jacoby's the man for that job.
Yeah, Adam, I think you're 100% right. It's funny you mentioned, just being a pro. During minicamp and OTAs, there was just kind of a sense of, I don't know if calmness is the right word, but he just knew what to do at all times. You know what I mean? And you could just kind of feel that and sense it, no matter what the drill was or whatever it was. He was, in and out of the huddle quickly, maybe even a little bit quicker than Drake, which is to be expected. But again, it was just, there was a sense of being a pro, whether he talked, whether it was on the field. So I think you're right. It's just go about your business as you normally would and let these guys sort of just watch and follow along. To his credit, the first time he talked back in, I don't know, March or April, kind of right after the draft. He was like, yeah, like, I know, what the situation is, but I want to win and I want to start. So there is that competitive side, but he does also know that the future is in Drake May. So you're right, it's a tough balance, but on the other hand, it's not, because all he has to do is show up every day. That's it. Just show up and kind of be who you are. So yes, it's a balance, but I think it's maybe less than we think because he just has to keep doing what he's been doing.
Yeah, it's definitely a balance. I mean, look, he's got to balance competing for the starting job with mentoring these other guys. He knows why he was brought here. He's accepted that. He knows what's going to be expected of him. But he's a competitor. He's a professional athlete. He's not just going to come in and, lay down and allow Drake May to beat him in camp and be the starting quarterback come week one. He wants to be the starting quarterback. And he made that very clear throughout the spring that that's his goal, regardless of why he was brought here. And he recognizes why he was brought here. He still wants to be the starter. And so I think that there's something to be said for that. And look, I think in many ways, Brissett's the perfect bridge quarterback for this organization. They drafted him in 2016. He played here before. He has started here before. And he knows what's expected of him. And he knows what the fan expectation is when it comes to the organization. You add to that he knows Van Pelt's offense from their time together in Cleveland, and you can see why he was a solid addition. He's become a journeyman of sorts, but I do think that it is a delicate balance. You've got to find a way to beat the guy out that you're competing against, but at the same time, you got to help him. And so I think that Brissett is enough of a pro that he's going to be able to handle that, and he'll make the best of the situation. But make no mistake about it, I do think that he's walking into a situation where all eyes are going to be on May. Yes, the expectation is that he's going to be the starter, but if May has any kind of a good camp, fans and the media alike are going to be clamoring for him. And Brissett's going to have to somehow deal with that and compete on the field and mentor him. Like I said, it's a delicate balance. When you've been around as long as he's been in the league 8 years, he can manage that. But it's going to be interesting to watch because I think he's certainly good enough to be the guy right out of the gate. And I've said this all along. I think the perfect opportunity for the Patriots to start Drake May is after their bye. They may ultimately opt to start him before that. But unless Brissett is horrible and May is absolutely lights out in camp, I don't see any scenario where Brissett's not the guy opening weekend in Cincinnati. I think he will be the guy. I think he should be the guy. I've said all along, I think they need to handle Drake with kid gloves. I think Jacoby Brissett certainly allows him to do that. Again, I do want to apologize. We were supposed to have Brown head football coach James Perry join us tonight. Something has come up. Coach Perry cannot join us. If you're watching the show on X or on YouTube, it's going to show that Coach Perry is on, but he is not. We do have to pre-program the show. It's us. I know, sorry, you're stuck with us, but we figure we'll talk a bunch of ball and cover a bunch of things here tonight. But we do plan on trying to get Coach Perry back on in the near future. What are you looking for from Gerard Mayo in his first training camp?
I just want him to be confident, get the team ready for everything. I don't know exactly how different it will be run than with Bill Belichick. I'm sure he's going to change a bunch of stuff, but it might not look in the end that different. But I just want him to be confident in himself and be able to get the team ready. And I think this is a big moment for him. Especially even more so eventually when the games start. That'll be the big moment. But this is you're starting to get serious now. The season's right around the corner, so everything organized, detail oriented, and I think he can do a good job.
Honestly, I'm most interested in seeing sort of where he is next Wednesday. Is he with the defense a ton? Is he managing his time between both offense and defense? Is he letting his coordinators, sort of take over? I'm more interested in anything else that, what is he doing? Just kind of how is he taking, his first few days on the job in a real training camp setting, not just OTAs or mini camp. What is he doing? Where is he delegating his time the most? That's what I'm most interested in. But as far as expectations, it's tough. I mean, you hope they're competitive, but for now, you just hope it's a well-ran practice and productive, and they get out healthy first and foremost. So it's one day at a time with this thing, because it's going to be a long kind of a long process for him to ultimately be the head coach everybody wants him to be. Yes, he's experienced. Yes, he's been in locker rooms, but man, this is different. So first and foremost, just how is he kind of balancing his time when they're out on the field?
Now, I've never coached in the NFL. I've never obviously been an NFL head coach. I have been a head coach, though, and I do think that there are some things that are similar in terms of being a high school head coach or college head coach to an NFL head coach. I think it's important, and I found when I was a head coach in my first year, I was trying to do too much. I was also the offensive coordinator. I was trying to run the offense, and then when we were on defense, make my way around the different positions. When we were on special teams, I would try to go around and work with the different units off to the side. I think it is going to be a challenge for him early to figure out how he wants to delegate his time and where he wants to go during the course of a practice. My guess is I think he's, especially in week one of camp, I think you're going to see him float around a lot. I think he's going to move around a lot. I don't think he's going to strictly be with the defense. I do think he's probably going to spend a fair amount of time with the defense. But I think you're going to see him moving around and about. As far as the coordinators, yeah, they're going to be allowed to do their jobs. I mean, they're going to be your primary play callers. He's going to let them handle the install, and he's going to let them handle their side of the ball. And like I said, I think you're going to see him moving around a lot. I think you're going to see him. He's going to get in there, especially on defense. I wouldn't be surprised after the first couple of days if you see him with the inside linebackers, working with them, working with the linebackers as a whole, working with the back seven and Skelly on occasion, maybe working with the front seven. I think he's going to be hands-on in that way because it's a tough transition. Usually when you become a head coach in football, you go from being a coordinator to a head coach. He made the jump. He was never a coordinator in theory. I mean, he was involved in the coordination of the defense, but he wasn't a traditional coordinator per se. Steve Belichick was the primary defensive play caller. He's in essence going from a position coach to a head coach. So he's still going to have a little bit of that position coach in him. He's going to want to coach. He's going to want to be hands-on. But I think early on, like I said, I think you're going to see him move around a bunch. You are watching / listening to the New England Football Show presented by Mortgage Right. I'm your host, John Sarianides. As always, I'm joined by Kevin Stone and Adam Kirkchen. We were scheduled to have Brown head football coach James Perry on with us tonight, but unfortunately, Coach Perry could not make it. We do want to remind you that if you are in the market to purchase your first home or sell your current home and purchase your next home, give our good friend Herb Devine a call, 781-254-2846, or you can shoot him an email at herb@mortgageright.com. All right, Stone, I'm going to start this segment off with you. Of course, you got your hands on the NCAA. What are we calling this? 2025? Is it?
Yeah, I think it's just college football 25.
College football 25. You got your hands on it today. You purchased yourself a what do you call it? A PlayStation 5. You got yourself the PlayStation 5. You procured the game, and you've proceeded to sit in your room all day pretending you're back in high school, and you've played the game all day, and you've tweeted out pictures of the local teams. Some thoughts on the game, and how do you think it portrays our local teams here? Boston College, UConn, UMass.
So look, it's and we talked about this before we went on the show. You guys have both played the past games, for many, many years. So the idea that these kids are now in the game with real names and real images, it's pretty cool. Again, we're used to seeing, number 95 for a kicker for how many years, stuff like that. So it's a really cool sort of time in college football. Obviously, it's a shit show with the portal and with NIL, but this aspect of it is really cool, especially for the guys that are in the game. I have to assume it's something they've all grown up wanting to do. So that aspect is awesome. As far as the teams, look, it came out at 4:00, so I haven't played much, but the BC offense is fun. Receiver room is deep as I think it is, and UMass, It's touch and go. I'll leave it at that. But UConn haven't had much time to play with them. I just wanted to kind of check out the stadium and stuff like that. But overall, again, I think it's just awesome that we now have real kids, and the gameplay itself. I don't know if you guys have played Madden in the last, I don't know, 5 years, but that game has gotten much harder. This is not that hard. There's definitely some intricacies that you have with coverage shells and stuff like that. But overall, it's what we all remember it used to be, and now it's just a little bit different and a little bit more real. And I will say this: I texted you guys. They got the stadiums right. The detail is awesome. The commentary is great. So overall, good product. But again, it's nice to actually have real people in these games for a change. And what content wise, you've seen it online, on Twitter, on Instagram. These kids give a damn about their ratings and the team ratings and the rankings, and it's a big deal. So I think it's awesome. This is out now, and it's just going to kind of feed into the hype for the incoming college football season. We need FCS teams, though. That's my only gripe.
Yeah, that'd be great. I don't know. Is there like a create a team thing on this one or no?
So not a team, but you can create your player and sort of go through the entire recruiting process. I started the dynasty briefly. You set your recruiting board. Guys are picking their top 8 teams. You get notified when you're out or you're in. Like, the detail is awesome in this thing. Again, it really kind of fuels the hype for college football season.
Yeah, I haven't played that game in a while. Obviously, most of us haven't, obviously. But I loved the recruiting when in the old games. Like, you could go into like Massachusetts or Connecticut or wherever and get the best players. That's pretty cool. Like, I mean, I've played Madden before, and I think it's a good game. But for me, like NCAA just is way better. I just love how they do it, and it's such an exciting thing for these kids to have their names in a video game. Like, I'd be so excited if I were one of them. So I'm probably gonna get the game. I don't know when, but it's just a fun thing to have, and just to see these guys' names on there is really cool, and I can't wait to play it.
Now, do you have PS5, Kirkjian?
No, I don't. Is that the only one it's on?
I believe so, right? You can't play it on any of the other ones.
No, I think it's on Xbox 360 too.
No, but I'm saying you can't play it on any of the other PlayStations.
I don't believe so. No,
I have an Xbox.
Okay.
So I think I'll be able to play it.
So, John, just before you go real quick, I will say covering these teams sort of adds to it. Like, we know all these kids now. We know these coaching staff. So that makes it a little bit, even more neat that we're playing as these kids that, we're conversing with for the next 4 or 5 months every day.
Yeah, I'm glad it's out. I got sick of hearing about it for the last 2 years. I haven't played it since the early 2010s. I've grown up since. So I'm not going to be playing it now. I'm glad it's out. We can stop hearing about it. I'm sick and tired of people I know and friends of mine, tongue bathing the video game and getting their dander up over it. Relax. It's a video game. Okay. Let's act like adults. I mean, these are people in their 40s and they're jockeying the stupid video game. We're not back in high school, so calm the hell down. But yeah, no, listen, I know people were looking forward to it. You guys are excited. Get your rocks off on the thing. Enjoy it. And let's just don't get now. Here's the thing, Stone. Don't get too attached to this stupid thing, because real football is coming up. It's around the corner. We got work to do. I can't have you sitting at home playing PlayStation all day, pretending you're Tyson Fomachon. We can't do that. Okay.
We got a week.
We got to go talk to the real Tyson Fomachon. Okay. Can't have you sitting at home in Waltham pretending you're Puma.
We got a week. We're good. I'll be ready to go. Don't you worry about me.
That goes for you too, Kirk. And you can't be at home pretending you're Joe Fagnano. You need to be.
Yeah.
You need to be minding your P's and Q's, my friend.
Yeah, I got to talk to these kids. Let them know how I did with them, and
Yeah.
their game up.
I'm curious, Stone. Now, are you going to ask some of the BC guys their thoughts on the game? Are you going to tell them what it's like pretending to be them on a video game?
No, but it's free content. I will absolutely be asking kids about their ratings.
It's free content. It's all you. I mean, it doesn't always have to be about content.
Sure
I'm
does.
gonna win the Heisman with Victor Rosa.
For all you people out there that are affiliated with those schools, I will gladly cover your games. I'm not going to play the stupid video game. Sorry, kids, I'm not going to pretend I'm you. Sorry, guys, I should say I'm not going to pretend I'm you. I'm just going to be normal about it. Okay. And I got to talk to Catalina. I don't want him to start pretending he's Victor Rosa either. We don't need that. We don't need Mora thinking we're weirdos covering his football team. So
This is your old man yells at the cloud kind of moment right now.
nope, it is not. See, this is the problem. I'm going to get on my soapbox for about 30 seconds. Why? Because I have an opinion on the game. That makes me the out-of-touch old man who doesn't play the game.
No,
This isn't a get off my lawn moment. It's just I'm glad it's finally here. I got sick and tired of hearing about this stupid thing for the last 2 years, and every person in their 30s and 40s creaming their pants over it. I'm done with it. I'm glad it's here now.
it's more about the tone and the delivery.
My tone and delivery, you're saying. It's not a get off my lawn moment, man. It's just an opinion. We're entitled to have them. I know that millennials and Gen Z think that only their opinions matter. Contrary to what you think, actually other people's opinions matter too. So
I don't
there
even
you
know
go.
if I am a
That is
millennial.
why your generations have struggled as much as they have. So
If I was born in '88, am I a millennial?
you're a millennial.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Kirkshin and I are Gen X. You're a millennial.
We're the ones that supposedly don't care about anything. The Gen X.
No, well, we're the last relevant generation. Every other one that's come since they are what they are. We'll leave it at that.
Although
can't
I'll
argue
say
right
this.
now.
I'll say this. Gen X, the last one with great music.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the following generations have destroyed music. They don't know how to make good music. The other problem the other thing I blame us on is we're the parents of Gen Z, and I think that our generation has done a shit job raising some of these kids. So we're to blame for that. We are. Now, millennials are millennials. They're useless. They can't do anything. But it is what it is. I mean, it's their own fault. They're a walking excuse. But Gen Z, it's on us. It falls on us ultimately. But not all millennials fit that bill. There's a lot of millennials that are pretty good, but there's a fair amount of millennials out there that need some help. Any final thoughts on the video game, Stone? Like I said, I know you were all excited about it today.
No, again, I think it's just good, at least locally, for these kids to be on a game. And look, if is it going to help recruiting? Probably not. But again, to be able to, as a kid, to have your name and your image in a video game, that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, and they're getting paid for it, which is what they've
Correct.
been wanting to.
That's the biggest thing
for a long time. So we'll see. Getting away from the video game here, we did get a couple of announcements today in regards to ACC Media Day and CAA Media Day.
Yeah, CAA is going on the 24th.
Yep.
That's a Zoom day, so I'll be at Gillette, but we will have coverage throughout the afternoon of those press conferences. Of course, Bryant is now a member of the CAA, and that's sort of I can't wait to cover those games, just because obviously the URI rivalry is one thing, but now having Bryant facing Maine, facing UNH, that's pretty cool. Like it sort of adds to the New England rivalry aspect around here. And as far as BC ACC Media Day, that is also the 24th. So a busy day next Wednesday, I think it is. It'll be Drew Kendall, Tommy Castellanos, and Donovan Ezeraku, who are representing BC, along with Bill O'Brien. And I don't think you could have three better choices to represent that program than those guys.
No, I agree. I think they're three tremendous choices. And we're going to shift gears here now. We got about 10 or 12 minutes left. Again, we were supposed to be joined by James Perry tonight, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. Adam, you were at the Northeast 7-on-7 this weekend. You did both days. You did Saturday at Zavarian for the South Regional, and you did Sunday up in Berwick, Maine for the North Regional. Let's start with your thoughts on Saturday. And you did write about it today on anyfootballjournal.com.
Yeah.
Make sure you go on and check it out if you're a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, well, subscribe. For only $2.99 a month, you get some of the best football coverage in New England. But your thoughts on the Southeast Regional first?
I was really impressed with everybody, especially because the first part of the day was all rain, some heavier than others. But let's just start with the Open Division champ BBN. I was super impressed. That was like they've been coming to this for a while. I'm not sure how many years they've been doing this, but they've been doing it a while, and this might be the best 7-on-7 group they've had since they've started doing this. I think a lot of that has to do with quarterback Damon Taylor. He really looks good. We saw him at the league at Malden Catholic at the beginning of the year, whatever, maybe 2 months ago, um, and he was awesome. And he keeps getting better. And look, sat last year behind Henry Mashnick, the quarterback, who was, in addition to a good passer, was like an excellent runner. I think Damon Taylor is going to make a lot of plays from the pocket. He's a good athlete, but I think his arm is what stands out. And he was really going to all points of the field in this game or in this event. And, I was really impressed. Obviously, Bo McCormick, as a running back, you wouldn't think he had much of an impact, but he really did have a great day. They put him at safety. He's played at safety during the season. He had a pick six. He's super fast. He's super strong. Syracuse got a good one. I think he's an amazing running back. And so I was impressed with BB&N. And then the small winner was Dennis Yarmouth. And, they did really well, too. I was really impressed with them. Quarterback Jaden Barber. I think we had him honorable mention All-State last year. He was a Herald All-Scholastic. Just a tremendous passer. Just really puts it where he wants to be. A good arm. And he had great weapons. Walter Mayo, Peyton Kellett, Brayson Garcia, James Barnacle, all guys that had a good day for them. As far as the runners up there, I thought Weymouth had a great day. Again, like Weymouth is mostly a running team. It's not like they don't pass, but they're more of a run-first team. And they've got a really good running back in Cam Ietta, who's going to do really well. I believe he picked up a Bentley offer, I think, recently. And so I think Weymouth's going to have a really good year. And the runner-up in the small was Mashpee. They have a great skill group. They opened with Dennis Yarmouth, and they played him in the final year. I thought that was sort of a cool little bonus. Dominic Mattiato is the quarterback for them. They got a just great group of skill kids. And I'm excited to see the Falcons this year. They'll really compete in that D6. And I was talking a little bit with Tyler Amaral, and we were just remarking on how many good D6 teams there are this year. We'll get into more of that later. But Zavarian played well. Will Wood at quarterback. He's going to be the starter now, replacing Henry Hasselbeck. Again, there's big shoes to fill, but Will had a really good day, I thought. So it was a really good day at Zavarian, and I had a lot of fun. But there's some then in the north, I was at Marshwood, Maine.
Berwick, aren't they in Berwick?
South Berwick, Maine. Marshwood High School in Maine, South Berwick High School, or South Berwick, Maine. And the winner there was Thornton Academy from Maine. I was really impressed with them. They had some depth, which usually helps you in a day like today when it's really hot, or a day like yesterday it was really hot, and they could play with. They just look great all day. I mean, they beat Milton in the final, and Milton didn't have a great day on Saturday, but played really well on Sunday. Patrick Collins played well. Harry Henkel, the wide receiver defensive back, had a great day as well. I thought Andover really impressed me because they didn't bring a ton of guys. They had a lot of guys who were at other stuff. They have quarterback Don Papa, who is coming back. He's a really good player. I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with during the season. Another Massachusetts team that I thought did well up there was St. Mary's. I think they only lost one. I think they only lost one game, and I think that might have been to Andover. They've got a guy named a wide receiver safety named Tyler Guy, who had a great day. And again, I think St. Mary's they went 7-4 last year. I think they're going to get 8-9 wins this year, if not more. Um, and one other team from Maine that I thought was really good was Bonnie Eagle. And again, you've seen them; they've been in this tournament for a couple years, um, and they're just one of the best teams in Class A up there in Maine. And they had a lot of good players, and they're going to be fun to watch. Um, Timberlane, New Hampshire also did well. They I think they made it to the semis or the quarters. So it was a lot of fun. Um, they had concessions up at Marshwood, which was really nice on a hot day to be able to buy some drinks and stuff. Um, and it's just a really well run tournament again with Steve Dembowski, and I was really happy to go there and meet all these coaches and talk about their kids.
Yeah,
Adam,
no, it's amazing how much the Northeast 7-on-7 has grown. I think people forget that for the longest time, it was really just the South Regional. I mean, if you wanted to play in the tournament, you had to either go to Olive Ames or Zavarian. It wasn't. There was no East. There was no Central. There was no North nor South. But credit to Steve Dombrowski. He's done a great job of growing this tournament, and it's not only become one of the largest passing tournaments in New England. It's the largest passing tournament in New England, but it's also become one of the largest in the country now. And so it's amazing to see how many programs outside of Massachusetts are participating in it. And I think for us, it's a really good early look at some of these programs. You mentioned Thornton Academy, who has won an astonishing 37 state titles in Maine. People talking about Hendricken's dominance in Rhode Island. Go look at the Thornton Academy Golden Trojans. They have won a lot. But it's great to see programs like that. A program like Exeter, a program like Trinity. Two programs out in New Hampshire. You mentioned Timberlane. It's great to see those programs because for people in Massachusetts, they don't realize how good the football is in some of the surrounding states. You look at New Hampshire, Bedford, Londonderry, Pinkerton. These are really good programs. You look at Maine, Oxford Hill, Thornton Academy, Levitt, very good programs. Portland, Rhode Island, you got Hendricken, you got LaSalle, you got North Kingstown. Of course, in Connecticut, you have too many to count. So there's a lot of really good programs out there, including Vermont, where you have a lot of these good programs that don't get enough attention. And it's nice to see them playing in the Northeast 7-on-7. And you've said this, Adam. It's a great opportunity for us to interact with some of those coaches and players.
Yeah, I think it's awesome to meet these guys you only read about during the year in some instances. It's like the big thing for me is just getting tidbits about which teams are going to be good when the season starts. Like I love the 7-on-7 stuff, and I want to see who wins. The real value for me is talking to a coach and them saying, "Hey, look out for this team," and that's not a team was even on my radar. And then maybe after that, it's like, okay, maybe we should pay closer attention. Our top 40 stuff is going to come out in August, but like a lot of the stuff you hear at these 7-on-7s is stuff you incorporate into that, and so you want to just keep your ears on who's going to be good in your state, who's going to be in your division, your league, what have you. You want to get all that information, and this is perfect for it.
my question to both of you would be, what's the biggest takeaway for these teams? Like, Adam, when you talk to coaches, what are they hoping most to get out of these weekends?
Well, I think they just like the fact, and this may sound simple, but I feel like a lot of these coaches like the fact that they can have their kids together competing against another team in something. Like this, some of these coaches aren't going to run a lot of the sets that they run during the season in these 7-on-7. Like, some of these teams are running the wing T, and out here they're in 5 wide. So that it's not going to be how it is. But they just like the chance for these kids to get together, to compete, to be together in something, and really just look forward to the season. Just build chemistry. I think that's the main goal. If you don't win, hey, at least you get all your guys together and you were competing in something.
Yeah. No, I think that that's a big part of it. It's interesting because I was able to catch up real quick this weekend with Jimmy Newen, the offensive coordinator down at New Canaan High School in Connecticut, and that's exactly what Jimmy said. You know what I mean? That it's not about it's about getting the guys together and letting them be around each other and play and participate and kind of get themselves physically and mentally ready for the football season. And I think it's so true. Speaking of that, of course, the 17th annual Grip It and Rip It tournament took place down in New Canaan, Connecticut this weekend. Cardinal Hayes beat Newtown 31-18 in the final. It is the second year in a row that a New York team has won the Grip It and Rip It, the Tri-State Grip It and Rip It tournament. Last year, Bishop Stepanak from New York won it. Hayes, of course, is going to be coming to Massachusetts on September 7th. They open their season against Catholic Memorial at Catholic Memorial, and that'll be a game that we plan on covering. But Cardinal Hayes looked good this weekend. That tournament is terrific, by the way. It starts on a Friday afternoon at 1. They play at 1. They play at 4:30. They come back Saturday morning. But there's some heavyweights. There were 27 Connecticut teams in the tournament this year, 9 out-of-state teams, 36 teams total. Of course, Lou Marinelli is heavily involved in this program, as is his son, John Marinelli. I mentioned Coach Newen. But it is a terrific tournament. I mean, you got Darien, you got West Haven, you've got Staples, you've got Southington, you've got all these programs, New Canaan, you've got all these power programs in Connecticut. Avon Old Farms plays in the tournament. They're playing the tournament. But then you got New York powers like Stepanak and Cardinal Hayes playing in it as well. Terrific tournament this year. Again, Cardinal Hayes, who was ranked by High School Football America as the 93rd best program in the country last week. They win the Grip It and Rip It tournament, and they're for real. Catholic Memorial is going to have their hands full with them.
Yeah, they're good, man. I know. It's great to see, that event. I love it. I think Cardinal Hayes, at least from anybody that I've talked to with knowledge on the subject, says Cardinal Hayes is going to be really good. And like you've seen in the last few years, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years, maybe less, but a lot of these New York teams, they'll play these Jersey powers and they'll either hang with them or beat them. Like they're really good, like they're really sort of taking that step forward. So you got Cardinal Hayes against CM, which is a great game, and I'd probably make Hayes the slight favorite in that, just given everything that they've got a ton of D1 commits. They've got a tremendous quarterback, and I think Iona Prep at Springfield Central is going to be another good game from a New York to a Massachusetts team. So I think it's just going to be a lot of fun. We're going to settle a lot of arguments on the field, and if Cardinal Hayes loses to CM but wins out, then CM wins out, then CM's probably going to be nationally ranked by High School Football America. So it's a fun thing to do. I love the out of state games. I just love them. I think it's just great to sort of compare and contrast the styles of teams, because I think a lot of the teams in high schools football play a similar way now. But I do think that you see a team from another state, you can learn a thing or two about how they play.
To that point, real quick, Adam, we talked last week a lot about some matchups we're looking forward to interstate wise. These kinds of tournaments, it feels like these are sort of the things that can bolster the idea of more of these interstate tournaments. Why haven't they taken off yet based on these tournaments? Is it just teams are afraid to play, other teams? And I know
I think
Massachusetts has the power rankings, and it could hurt you, but it feels like these types of tournaments can really kind of boost these interstate rivalries.
You mean the 7-on-7 ones, or
yeah.
just? Yeah, I think I don't know. I think you're starting to see more of these interstate games, like before, like long, I feel like in the 90s, the Catholic Conference teams played a lot of their games against those Catholic teams in New York as well. And then it sort of stopped for a while, and now it's sort of bounced back. But again, like the more the teams see each other at 7-on-7s and make relationships, the more that they, games will arise out of those situations. And I just think it's a lot of fun. And it is like John was saying, like when Northeast 7-on-7 first started, it was like one day. Now you're talking about 4 different regionals and then a championship for New England. I think it's super fun, and I think the Maine and New Hampshire guys I was talking to today really love the competition and they love being a part of it.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And between the Northeast 7-on-7 and of course the Tri-State Grip It and Rip It tournament, it's a great weekend for high school football in New England, not just Massachusetts, but New England in general. Of course, another surprise this weekend was Tyreek Hill, wide receiver from the Miami Dolphins, made an appearance over at Maloney High School in Meriden, Connecticut this weekend for a camp on Saturday. Raheem Mostert was also there, so that was a pleasant surprise as well. So it was a busy weekend for football in New England, and that was nice to see. All right, gentlemen, final thoughts here before we wrap it up.
Well, I will be at St. Bernard's on Thursday or Friday. I think Friday, and then Bishop Fenwick the day after for the East Regional. And it's gonna be fun talking to coaches, seeing who. I love seeing these surprise, sort of surprise teams do it this year, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Just 2 quick ones for me. One, last Friday, Maine announced they will be opening their training camp up to fans. I don't know of any other college team. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think any other college team, at least locally, opens every training camp practice. So I think that's sort of a cool thing Jordan Stevens is doing to allow that fan base to watch their sort of their progress in real time. I think a lot more programs should do that. And then also, the Boston Renegades are heading back to a 7th straight championship. Took down Pittsburgh 41-0 the other night on Saturday. They will be playing in the championship against St. Louis on July 27th, I believe it is, on Saturday. It'll be live on ESPN2. We'll be covering it. And I've said this numerous times. You win 5 or 6 straight of anything at any level, you're doing something right. So they deserve their credit, and hopefully there's another championship coming back here.
Yeah, the Mass Pirates were on a bye this weekend, but they're back in action for the regular season finale this weekend when they travel to Tulsa, Oklahoma to take on the Oilers. And then it'll be on to the playoffs for the Pirates, who are looking to potentially get a home playoff game. They're going to need to win and probably need some help. But if they don't, they're going to open the playoffs, the IFL playoffs on the road. But nonetheless, they're in the playoffs once again, 4th straight year in a row for the Pirates. And of course, in a sign that time does truly fly by, Patriot rookies report this Friday for training camp. Veterans on July 23rd, a week from tomorrow. And of course, their first official practice, which will be open to the public and the media, will be next Wednesday, July 24th. So, you think the offseason is long in football, but it's a busy offseason. And the next thing you know, you blink and it is camp time, and then we're into the regular season. But gentlemen, I want to say thank you. Thank you, by the way, for adjusting on the fly. Again, we were supposed to be joined by James Perry tonight, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. So we were able to adjust on the fly and put together a quality show. Again, if you're watching the show on X, it's going to show that Coach Perry was scheduled to join us. He did not, obviously. We pivoted, and we were able to put together a good show. That'll do it for this week's episode. For Kevin, for Adam, I'm John. Until next week, peace.